This is Mirabella's Kitchen, and today I'm making Salisbury steak. If you'd like to cook with me, please check the description below for a list of the ingredients and a shout out to my patrons. Please bear with me during this video. My camera kept dying on me, so I kept having to switch to my phone, to which I don't have a mount for, and it was a little wobbly at points. So I'm gonna pair this with some mashed potatoes that I'm gonna make at home. I'm gonna use golden potatoes. I use about 5 to 7 large ones. I peel them and I dice them, and I'm gonna add them into a large pot of water that I'm gonna bring up to a boil. After that, I mince 3 cloves of garlic. I roughly chop 1 large yellow onion. You can also put this into slices. I take a large nonstick skillet, heat it over medium heat, add about a tablespoon of olive oil, and add in the onion. And I'm also adding in 8 ounces of sliced baby bella mushrooms. I bought these pre-sliced. And then I'm going to coat them in the oil and let these cook down together for about 10 minutes. While those are cooking down, I take a mixing bowl with 1 pound of ground beef. I add in 1 large egg, 1/4 cup plain panko breadcrumbs, 1 tablespoon Dijon mustard, 2 tablespoons Worcestershire sauce. I add 1 pack of Lipton's mushroom onion soup mix, but I recommend a half a pack. It was a little salty. And I add in the minced garlic. I season with some coarse kosher salt and freshly ground black pepper. I usually do maybe 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of these. And then I mix everything together, kind of like I'm making meatballs. And I'm going to split it into fourths and pack these into patty-like structures. I recommend packing a lot harder than I did. I had issues where they started to fall apart, so maybe rolling them into a thicker ball and then flattening them. So I'm gonna take some time to stir the onions and mushrooms. And also I'm going to make some beef broth. I'm using 2.5 cups of beef broth in this recipe. I like to make mine with bouillon cubes or better than bouillon, but you can always buy it at the store pre-made. So after my onions and mushrooms have cooked down, I create a crevice in the middle, and I'm going to add in my Salisbury steak patties, and I'm going to let them cook on both sides. I recommend turning it down to medium-low heat because you don't want the onions and mushrooms to burn. And I let them cook for 5 to 7 minutes before flipping. And mine started to fall apart. I'm trying to hold my camera and flip them, and it was a bit of a challenge. So some of my patties did start to fall apart, which is why I recommend making them a little tighter. After the patties are done cooking, I put them aside and I add in a 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. This is to thicken up a sauce that we're gonna make, kind of like a gravy. And I mix that in and I add in the beef broth I made. I added everything at once. I recommend doing it in spurts. My flour started to clump and I had to break up those bits. And I cook this down until it's thick, and then I add back in the patties to let them finish cooking through in the sauce. I like to cover the patties with some of the gravy, mushrooms, onions. I flip them after about 5 minutes, And as you can see, they were falling apart. And I try to make sure to scrape the bottom of the pan. I'm also pairing this with some corn that I'm just making on the stove tonight. And for my potatoes, they've been drained, and now I'm going to add some coarse kosher salt, freshly ground black pepper. I added about 3 tablespoons of salted butter, and I'm going to mash these. I then add in some 2% milk. I think I added about 1 cup total until I got to my desired consistency. My camera flipped, but it's Salisbury steak topped on mashed potatoes with some corn on the side. And that is my Salisbury steak. Thanks for joining me today. I make new videos on cooking every Thursday. Please support me on Patreon and on Facebook at Mirabella's Kitchen.